It was another under-the-radar amazing day for the Denver Broncos in free agency as we add another Sean Payton piece to this puzzle. Sean Payton brought in another player who played for him with the Saints for a lot of years, who provides amazing depth to our offensive line, has one of the coolest last names of all time. We also hear details about just how great that deal was that we signed to replace Jerry Jeudy with Josh Reynolds, the all-star, amazing wide receiver from the Detroit Lions, just on a great deal for us as Broncos fans. If you're new to this channel, my name is Ben. I break down all things Denver sports, typically in my man cave surrounded by Broncos apparel. Now I'm in my basement, actually out of my basement, in my parents' backyard in what is usually always sunny Colorado, but here we are now. If you're new to this channel, it does help me out a ton if you like and subscribe if you're a Broncos fan as well. So let's take a look at just the deals of the day and why I think they're great. So we bring in Calvin Throckmorton, which you can't really have a cooler name than that. This dude is just an absolute mauler on the offensive line. He was a teammate with Forsyth, our starting center from what everything looks like at Oregon. Played for a bunch of years at Oregon, and he played multiple positions on that offensive line at Oregon. Most notably, he played the guard position. We're pretty set at guard with Powers and Quinn Meinerz, obviously, but are there any potential to have this player flex into that center position, or will he just be a backup? A really good deal for us that we signed him at pennies on the dollar. I just saw a cool stat from Mike Kliss that all of our free agents all added up, and what we paid them is still less than what Cushenberry got just in his deal. And so we know the Broncos had about $20 million still in cap space that they could spend, yet they're hanging on to that and spending very, very wisely. And I think what you're seeing with these Sean Payton moves is that it's really an example of 2 times 2 equaling 20 instead of just 4, because you're bringing in Sean Payton puzzle pieces that fit that puzzle. And Sean Payton even used the analogy of a puzzle at the combine, that he's going to flip the puzzle over and then we're going to rebuild this puzzle from scratch. And it's like, man, I don't care if you have a sweet Tesla. If you don't have all the Tesla accessories and you're filling up with gas, it doesn't matter if you have a Tesla. And so now we are having all of these pieces in place that are Sean Payton pieces, and I think we've broken it down several times on this channel, but there is no way the Broncos only end up with 5 or 6 wins just because we're bringing in these pieces that are Sean Payton system players. And so here we are reading more about him. So Throckmorton, 6'5", 311, has played a ton of games in the NFL. He has flexed into multiple positions under Sean Payton when he was in New Orleans, and I just think you look at that size and you look at the fact that even Sean Payton's offensive line coach is Zach Strief, a former Sean Payton offensive lineman. And who's going to teach him how to run Sean Payton's line and his calls and his blocking schemes better than a former Sean Payton offensive lineman himself? So I think that is just a fantastic deal and great news. Other great news and something that we really can hope for here is that the NFL gave out its rankings on paid distribution, and you can get certain payouts if you are one of the top players at your position. And so the more players you have on that list, it's a better thing, not only for that player because they're getting just straight cash money, homie, and that's a great deal, but it also shows that you have some talent on your squad to have that. And if you look here, number 25, Jonathan Cooper, Ohio State, he's getting almost $1 million, and then Meinerz, the belly, is getting about that as well. And the amazing thing about both of those dudes is for all of the hate that we have just been throwing on top of George Payton because of the Russell Wilson deal, because of the Frank Clark deal, because of some misses and that he did with hiring Nathaniel Hackett. One thing that George Payton has proved time and time again is he can evaluate talent in the draft. And so I'm just so pumped that those are both players that George Payton scooped out of there. He got Meinerz, in the 3rd round, and Cooper as a 7th round pick. And now you have them on the list with all of these incredible all-pro talent players. And so that is a really cool thing that does give you hope going forward that, look, we got good dudes on our squad right now, and now that we trust that George Payton has this season now to have a high draft pick with the number 12, and I trust he's going to find some talent there. Other phenomenal news of the day is that we're hearing more and more about how pumped Reynolds is to play here. And it isn't that we outbid the Detroit Lions. I have a ton of friends in Detroit who were bummed to see him go. And you saw the Detroit Lions GM at the pro days the other day talk about how they thought they were going to be able to get Josh Reynolds back, but he came here. And so everyone was thinking we must have overpaid for him, but we didn't. And we're seeing just how team-friendly this deal is. We heard at one point that it was a $14 million guaranteed deal, which is still just a fraction of what Jerry Jeudy's getting just in 1 year to go play for the Browns. And I think Reynolds, other than those drops in that key NFC Championship game, and he wasn't the only one to have drops. Their tight end had a bunch of drops, and Amon St. Brown had drops. That whole team almost had a case of the yips in that. I don't think that's him. He had as many drops in that NFC Championship game as he'd had all year. If you take those drops off the board, he doesn't have any more drops than Jerry Jeudy, while he has a ton more touchdowns than Jerry Jeudy. And you see Reynolds talk about how pumped he is to be here because he's always admired Sean Payton, and the quote, "I love his creativeness," or probably could have said creativity there, but you're probably pumped to sign that deal and come here. Other really cool thing that we see in the interview with him is that his uncle is just like us. He is a diehard orange and blue fan, and so he was pumped to come and play here, play in this system. And you see, again, I'm just looking forward to getting to work with him, and he's always admired his scheme. We heard Sean Payton talk about in his combine interview that all we installed this year was just the guardrails on this offense. And now we have pieces in place that we are going to see more and more of Sean Payton's creativity. We saw what it was like, that giant 3-game jump from Nathaniel Hackett to Sean Payton. We looked like an entirely different squad this year with Sean Payton. Can you even imagine what that's going to be like next year with a healthy Tim Patrick, with a healthy Dulcich, with whatever types of playmakers we get in this draft, whoever we pick up at 12, whether that's the quarterback of the future or whether that's another playmaker or whether that's a wideout or perhaps Brock Bowers. We have a lot more to cover on that. And then you see a lot of people actually saying that they see that perhaps Josh Reynolds could be a very, very similar prototypical player to one of Sean Payton's most productive wideouts of all time in Michael Thomas. His nickname was, he was like the slant king, and he just ate up those inside slant routes. And so if we have Josh Reynolds running that, we got Mims just as a speedster on the outside, and you have Cortland Sutton as the veteran calming presence going deep for that jump ball. That, man, Stidham just has a bunch of weapons that he didn't last year, and that is really, really exciting. And again, just seeing that they are both Thomas and Josh Reynolds are 6'3". They are the exact same size, and Josh Reynolds ran those inside routes to perfection. One of the reasons we moved on from Russell Wilson in the first place was he didn't even see those inside slant routes, and time again we saw Sean Payton frustrated by that. There was that game against the Texans where Jerry Jeudy was wide open on slants time and time again, and you heard Sean Payton say, golly, there was tons of those that he was open on. And so now, whether that's Stidham, whether that's Bo Nix, whether that's J.J. McCarthy, we have players who are going to be open on those slant routes, and we're going to have the quarterback who is ready to get them the ball in that place, and that is super, super exciting. So excited to hear what you all think. I love reading the comments, engaging with you all. Check out this video. I walked down 16th Street Mall, downtown Denver, hit up Broncos fans and was like, hey, who should we draft with the 12th overall pick? Should we get JJ? Should we get Bo Nix? Should we get Michael Penix Jr.? I'm very curious to read in the comments what y'all think. And Broncos country, let's giddy up. Pretend there's a hoop here, I shoot. That's how I usually end. And I usually make it.